Hi everyone, and welcome back to our season-long sponsored apiary here at the Alpaca Farm, sponsored this year by Happy Valley Honey, who are the sole UK distributors of the Honey Paw polystyrene Langstroth hive, which we've been using all summer long and have now got several colonies ready to overwinter. And you'll recall, if you've seen some of the earlier videos, that we've carried out several shook swarms, and we're here back today just to check up on one of the shook swarms to see how they're coming along with storing the sugar syrup. They've drawn most of the frames, but now we're looking to get food into them so that they've got enough stores ready to go through the winter. It's the second week of September, and I wouldn't probably do any more shook swarms from now on. We want them to build up and get through into the winter, and part of that process is feeding, and we're going to check the feeder, check to see how much of that they've stored, and hopefully they've got plenty of stores now to go into the winter. If not, we can always add a bit more sugar syrup to their feeder. So we'll take the camera through into the apiary and see how they're getting on. Okay, so we're back with hive number 6, I think it is. Yeah, hive number 6. So this was the last shook swarm that we performed, and the bees have been taking down plenty of food. We've still got a light amount of food in the bottom there, but otherwise they're doing really well. So we can just give them a little bit of smoke under the feeder. So they've had plenty of stores to help them draw that foundation that we gave them, and it's looking really good. We've got plenty of capped stores that I can see here. So I'm going to start on the side nearest the camera because that's where the gap is. I really ought to leave the gap this side. So we'll crack on with that. I did notice that we've still got the queen excluder. I think we said we would probably remove the queen excluder this week. So let's just, I would normally start on the side closest to me, but they're doing great. That's a lot of stores that they've taken down, and they've drawn these combs really well, really effectively. So now's the time to start making sure that the colony has plenty of stores. We need them to be loaded, ready to go through the winter. And looking at these frames, they certainly have been packing away the syrup, so that's really good news. These are really quite heavy frames, and I think we'll give them probably one more feed, and that will be sufficient for them to keep the colony well stocked with sugar syrup for the winter. And there's pollen coming in. I've seen quite a lot of pollen being collected, so we should hopefully have sufficient pollen stores gathered by the bees. So here we've got our first frame of brood, and that's looking really good, capped, and the bees are looking nice and healthy too, so that's good. And just tip the frame towards the sunlight and I can see that we've got eggs in there as well, so that's really good news. And the bees have taken to the shook swarms that we've carried out late summer really well. We've not had a bad colony in terms of shaking the bees out and giving them frames of foundation. It's been a really positive experience this year, so that's good news. And the benefit of that, of course, is that it reduces the loading of any pests and diseases, things like nosema spores, varroa that might have been trapped in the comb. It just gives the bees a huge positive start going into the winter months. And then this one, we've got eggs and brood on this frame as well. that looks like it's the last of the frames of brood. And of course the Langstroth frames are so much bigger than the national frames that we use in some of the other colonies, and so a brood nest area of 3 or 4 frames in a Langstroth could be equivalent to maybe 6 in the national, because it's so much bigger. So lots of stores here, which is great. The last frame. And they've drawn this one. This was the comb that I only had a top strip in, and they've drawn that down really well. You can see, in fact, the queen's on this last frame. Just shows you that the queen will go on to frames of food. And she's just running around on this frame, so we'll pop that one back. And then instead of pulling them all back this way, I'm going to insert that last frame, which is the first frame that we looked at that came out of the other side. I'm just going to pop that in at this edge and just avoid crushing any bees at the end there. And then this one can come back in here. So all that remains is for us to now lift this brood box up so we can take the excluder away. So what I'm going to do is just ease it up, and then I'll get Steph just to come in and move that away for me. And so we'll just top up the feeder with a last fill. I think they've got plenty of stores there, but we'll give them one last fill, and that should do them for the rest of this autumn. So I'm really pleased with the way all of these shook swarms have gone. As you've seen and can probably tell, we've got growing strong colonies going into the winter on fresh comb, and that has to be good all round. So we're getting towards the end of our inspection season, so we'll probably only carry out maybe 1 or 2 more semi-inspections with these colonies. There's no need for us to continue to inspect all the way through until it gets too cold that we can't inspect. As long as the colony's queen right, they've got enough food, and they're all set ready for the autumn and winter, there's no need now to be going into them. My thanks to Paul at Happy Valley Honey for supplying us with all this equipment for our summer season. We'll be continuing to record a few videos as we go through into the autumn and into the winter. We've got oxalic acid treatments and various things in the winter, but we're drawing to the close of this sponsored set of videos now. I'll create a summary video showing some of the earlier videos and my views on how these particular hives have handled over this summer, and we're looking forward to next spring when we can maybe get some supers onto these hives and see how they compare with our other poly hives and other more traditional wooden hives. And finally, don't forget to check out our Patreon page, where you can help support us in creating more of these videos, and in return have access to a wide range of other content. That's it for today, and we'll catch up next time. Thanks for watching.